So I'm going to discuss the top 3 countries that provide the fastest citizenship possible, almost instant citizenship post-marriage. So let's say you get married, the next day you can turn up in some options. The next day you can turn up and literally go and lodge your applications. So I'm going to cover those 3 countries in the second part, right? But in the first part, before we get there, I wanted to discuss if it's safe thing to do. Citizenship by marriage is very tempting. A lot of people, young people, even old people, a lot of guys get divorced, and sometimes they bring up this topic. Is it a safe thing to do? What are the precautions that you got to take? And should you be doing this in the first place? I'm going to discuss that in the first part. But before we get started, make sure to turn on the bell notification and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any latest breakthroughs, news, etc. within the RCBI domain. All right. Now, it is one of the most unsafe things to do, in my opinion, and this is not legal advice or any kind of immigration advice, but this is one of the most tricky ones, right? So your relationship, and you cannot guarantee this. You don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. You find someone with all the genuine intentions, and if the next thing you do is file for immigration, what if your relationship does not work out on the next, let's say, a month, 2 months, or 3 months, the next day you could have a fight, right? So you cannot guarantee these things, and that's why I think it's very, very tricky. What they do is they don't really focus on what went wrong. They focus on, well, for this time frame you file and now it's not working, so you must have done this with some bad intentions. And sometimes it is genuine, right? Genuinely you might have bad intentions, and that is the worst thing that you can do. So in my opinion, I would always say stay away from any marriage-based filing unless you can guarantee with most certainty that it's a real relationship, it is a genuine relationship, it is going to last. Ideally, you want to wait for some time, make sure it is really genuine. Or if you have kids, let's say with your spouse, if your spouse really has spent that much time with you, you know for sure it is a great relationship. There's enough amount of proof to prove that it is genuine. It's, and that's the only time when you should really be looking at this. If you're thinking you're going to find someone for immigration purposes and then make the relationship work, I feel in most cases that backfires heavily. And if you get caught for immigration fraud, the other side, right, the person whom you're marrying always would have the upper hand, because she might be or he might be a citizen of that country. He is the citizen of that country, of course, because they're filing for you. You're the outsider, can be kicked out immediately. What that can do is the whole marriage fraud situation, right? That's the tricky one. You don't want to be in that, right? You want to absolutely avoid it. So although you may have had the right intentions, there are good chances that you might fall into this trap. You could get blackmailed. A lot of people also blackmail. They get you into the relationship and they know that you are interested in that whole immigration. They'll force you for that, and once you're in the trap, they'll start blackmailing you. If you try to get out of that relationship, the whole portrayal is that you did this for marriage-based immigration, so you got to be careful with that scenario. As an outsider, you have very less rights. Typically you want to have a prenuptial agreement as well to safeguard your interests if you're in this situation. You can always click the link in the description. I have a lot of discussions with some people who have questions regarding all these matters. And now, that aside, right, let's say it's very genuine, it's a real relationship, and your spouse is behind you, like, let's go forward with this. Wanted to discuss what are the other countries that have the fastest process. The number one fastest is, and a lot of people know this already, is the Cabo Verde citizenship, right? You are married, the next day you can theoretically you can turn up and apply. Obviously in practice you'll need to gather your documentation, you need the police report, you need the apostles, etc. They would do their own verification. The citizenship process can take up to 6 months to a year. Again, they'll scrutinize your relationship real good, so you got to be in a very genuine relationship. So that's number one. That's the fastest. The second fastest in this is the Jamaica, the country of Jamaica, or Jamaica, the way you pronounce it. And over there, again, you can file the immediate next day. You can technically go and lodge your application at the nearest embassy or the immigration offices. The deal with Jamaica is that you have processing times up to 24 months. It could take 2 years for them to approve it. They will obviously want to check your genuineness of your relationship. They will verify that it's all in order, it's still working, it's still ongoing, and stuff like that. So that's the second, I think, immediate country. The third one has a wait period of just 6 months, and it's Dominican Republic. where let's say your wife is from DR, it is a genuine relationship, then you can wait for 6 months and then you can lodge your applications. We work with, and our attorneys specialize not just the marriage, but they specialize in the immigration, and that's the preferred, that should be the preferred route. With the investor route, right, the investor route, one of the categories can literally expedite you to citizenship in as early as a couple of years, right? At the end of 2 years, you can have that citizenship. It has access to Brazil, along with some other very interesting options. A lot of people love the kind of access that the DR passport offers. So that's a very, very interesting option. Again, as I said, you can always click the link in the description, book a call with us. We can discuss the best investor route that's possible in your case, or the birth route, or of any kind of family route. We have specialized attorneys for almost every single kind of scenario. We also can help you with the precautions that you have to take. The storyline is very important. Whichever way you go, you got to have heavy documentation. You got to have a heavy, strong, solid, bulletproof strategy. So, and you have to do this beforehand. You can't do this after the fact, after you're stuck, after there's an issue. This all has to be safeguarded and taken care of before anything wrong happens. That's one of the big things that we always discuss with all our clients is the mechanism, the framework. That's very important to get you where you're getting, right? With safety, with full protection,